direction. Just look around and find at least something good. All you need will come to you. I'll never end your stare.
Welcome back to Two Canadians at Kafe Lise, a Vigor podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Anton, and with me is...
DJ Spencer.
And we're here on our fifth episode, and we thought we would do something... We're always doing something a little bit different, just to keep the conversation going. This time, we wanted to talk about things we'd like to see maybe in the future for Vigor. Just off the top of our heads, written in a document, so not quite off the top of our heads. But features and additions that we think would be good for the game, or that we would like to see in the game.
Yeah.
And maybe you could join the conversation and let us know what you think, if you think any of these would be good for the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like a New Year's wish
Yeah,
list.
exactly. New Year's wish list. It's a brand new year. Season 6, at this point, Season 6 is almost complete. We believe, anyways. There's been no word from Vigor at this time, or Bohemia. So we're recording on the 9th of January, and the season is supposed to end on the 11th of January. So we have a couple days left to go. There's speculation out there. Maybe they're going to extend it. Who knows? They did extend it when the Switch was brought in, and this season the PlayStation was brought in. So we don't know what's going to happen there. But whether they do or they don't, it's a new year, new season coming up, and they do a new season every couple months. So yeah, maybe these are some things we could throw out there that they could start looking at. Maybe in the future we'll get something like some of these little ideas. It'd be kind of cool, and it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of feature changes that we've kind of discussed. Starting with the shelter, it's been talked about by quite a few people in the community, like customizations to the shelter itself, be it maybe a custom flag, or even like your country's flag. I'd rock the Canadian flag. I'm sure you would too, Doc. Yeah. So it's a thing of pride. Represent your country. Or even for the shelter, like maybe changing just something like the color of the siding of the house.
Right.
Something like that. Just little things like that. I don't know off the top of my head if there's any other types of customizations for the shelter itself, but those are some that come to mind, and we've kind of discussed a little bit. And like I mentioned, it's been discussed around the community, on Twitch streams and on Reddit and stuff like that.
True.
Another thing too is people have been maxed out on their shelter for quite some time, Xbox wise, not PlayStation. I haven't seen anyone Switch wise, but we're getting to the point where people might be getting close.
And
so it'd be nice to see an addition to shelter upgrades.
Some new shelter additions you're thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people have pointed to, the bottom of the ramp on one side of the shelter where it brings you down to the water. Everyone said, oh, let's do like a fishing spot or something like that to bring in food. Honestly, I think if they're going to do something like that, that's fine. That's an easy one. But I think they'd have to actually bring in multiple shelter upgrades than just the single one, because people have been done for so long that they probably have a ton of resources just sitting there, and they might just be able to max out or max the upgrades right off the bat. The building time would just be the thing holding them back.
And some of it like I guess there's that, and it's we've seen that before with like when they extended the season a couple seasons ago when the Switch players were added. There were a lot of people who, because it seems the game still keeps track of your experience even after you've hit level 50, and so when they did that and they said, okay, here's another 25 levels until the next season starts, and here's crates, special crates, and I think they were like, I think it was like uncommon. Was it even started uncommon? I think it was like uncommon, rare, military, and special issue, but it
Yeah,
didn't do any. There
yeah.
was no
There's no
gray
gray
ones,
ones.
but there were people who at that point had already maxed out even that. Like, okay, great, we got all these extra
Yeah,
crates instantaneously. There's some of us like myself. I got a few more levels in after level 50 at that point, and I didn't. I got a few more crates, but I didn't max it out like at all. But it was, there are the game records everything and keeps track of it all. So yeah, they really have to be cognizant of the fact that people have a lot of spare resources around. So if they do add some new things, what might be good to go with it is maybe add some new resources that people won't have yet that you can find in raid or in new
uh,
encounters to go with these new
yes.
things, right? Um,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that's a good
So
point.
like if they do say add fishing, and I like the idea of fishing because there's all these hints of to fishing around the shelter. There's like at the end of the walking path before you go down those stairs to where you could have a boat. There's like fishing nets and all that kind of thing, right? So you would think, oh yeah, perfectly. This
Yeah,
you could do fishing. Um, the only difficulty though, you add fishing, you're adding more food, and even myself, I don't have my food production maxed on my Xbox account yet, but I'm already at the point where I'm generating enough in a week to get all the crates out of the donation box. So adding even more
yeah,
food to generate is a cool idea, but then what are you going to do with all this extra food? Um, so
yeah.
maybe there'll be something else you could do with the food, not other than just the donation crates or donation box. Um, so I don't now that I'm sort of this is like playing out in my head, what could you do with this
Yeah.
extra food? And maybe you could have a compost area, and then composting could maybe be another way to get materials. I know there are lots of people who have in the millions of materials, but there's a lot of people who struggle. Like especially when you get to the point when you're able to build consumables instantaneously. I've seen people go from a couple million materials down to a few thousand because they're always building things without paying
Yeah.
attention to how much it's costing. So maybe taking extra food you have, throwing it into this composting area, like donating it to a compost, and then having the compost generate materials. And that's just off the top of my head, but I think that could be kind of good,
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
Or as you were
Hmm.
talking about that, um, all that extra food or even extra resources, I would say this is an idea too that's been out there in the community is trading. So maybe trade food or other resources with other outlanders
Mm.
for things. So like say like I give you 5,000 food, give me, either a weapon or a consumable type thing. The price
Yep.
may vary, but
Then you're
maybe that's
almost
something
looking at a flea market in a way. Yeah.
that may be, yeah. And it'd be kind of like a little bit complicated. I don't think it would be something easy to do, but, that would definitely be an idea to do with, because like you said, I'm too at the point where I'm generating more than 10,000 food a week. So I always have that
Hmm.
extra amount just sitting there for the following week. And, at some point, they're just going to have to rework the whole donation thing because there's people that have like over 100,000 food just sitting there
Hmm.
doing nothing.
And of course,
So,
when you do look at that, we are talking about the extremes. So It's the players who are grinding
Yes.
this game, even, and they're not all streamers, but a lot of them are. but there's a lot of people.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people who are top killers and top looters who are not streamers. So you got to think they're in a similar boat. But when you go back down to the common people, you commoners. But
Mhm.
when you go back down to the people who don't play this every single day for hours on end, then some of this extra stuff could be really helpful for them. So generating more food could be helpful for them when they're probably not getting to the point where they're maxing out their food production on, like, say, rats or the box of plants or whatever. So having some extra fish production could be really helpful for them. But giving this that extra thing that we could, for the people who are maxed out, to do with the food, turning food into a currency almost, to be able to trade it. And even if you didn't want to do it as a flea market, because flea markets can get really, if you've ever watched or played Escape from Tarkov, flea markets can get really abused quickly. People bought them.
Yeah.
Well, at least on PC, it'd probably be a lot harder to bot it on a console. I'm not saying it'd be impossible. I have no clue, but
Yeah.
uh, but they can get abused. So maybe flea market is not the best way to think about it, but having a way, even if it's just a game thing, like a fake trader in game where I have this much food and this fake trader will send me whatever, like you purchase from this fake trader. Um, so that
Yeah.
could be an alternate to having a flea market, is having a fake trader. That way you could trade whatever you have excess of. Instead of just breaking it down to generic materials, you could potentially trade it for a particular types of weapons you really want. Like, I really like H bars, or I really like PPSHs, and I'm having a hard time getting them in game, and I don't necessarily have the materials for it, but I have extra food. So can I buy from this fake trader some PPSHs? That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Or even if it was like the item shop
Hmm.
where, the trader only had certain weapons,
Oh,
for that day
have
for
a cycle
24
thing.
hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And even, yeah, cycle it out. And even say, like, you could only buy five of the items. Like, the trader only has five H bars, you said. You
Yeah,
like
or
the H bars,
whatever.
right?
Yeah.
So instead of buying like 10,000 food, it's like, sorry, I only have 10 in stock or five in stock. So you could only
So you
buy
can't
those
get
five. And then after
you
that, he
sold
sold
out, and
out.
then the next day you could
And then
maybe
you,
get something else. Yeah. Yeah, having
yeah,
another thing that's not necessarily crowns. So the crowns can still be used in their shop for um, con- um, sometimes plans for skins, that kind of thing, like usual. But then using in-game
yeah,
stuff like the food or extra resources you might have towards, yeah, a limited item selection of things that you might want. Yeah. Yeah, that could be interesting. So you're not
yeah,
just making them,
exactly.
but you could, say, trade for them in that way. Yeah. I like that. That could be interesting. That could really open things up a lot. Now, I'm sure it's a lot of programming. Thanks, Bohemia. We
Oh, yeah,
appreciate
100%.
it. But it could be interesting. It'd be building up on, existing stuff they already have, just reworking it. So I don't know how hard that is, as I'm not a game designer. But yeah.
Yeah. Um, so moving on to other features, it was kind of funny because when we did the season six episode, one feature that I really loved and I failed to mention it, period, was the saved loadouts
We did forget to mention
presets
that. Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
single loadout preset. Now, again, this is something that's been widely discussed. Is it'd be nice to have multiple loadouts, right? Because you go to FJ, it's like you're not going to have the same type of loadout as you go on
Hmm.
battery,
Hmm.
right? It's most likely going to be different because you're going to need a scoped weapon on FJ for the most part, or even Anakin, I should say, where like snipers are pretty much the
Right.
meta there, but on battery it's not. So it'd be kind of nice to have um, the different save preset loadouts. Um, Even as a streamer like Doc, you have a channel redemption for like old man
Right.
with a shotgun, where you
Then
run
you
out
have
with a
one for a
shotgun,
pistol.
and it'd be kind of nice and convenient. Yeah, exactly. So it's like you have your loadout, boom, done,
Yeah.
right? You don't have to, you're saving yourself a few seconds or just to organize
Hmm.
your
Hmm.
loadout. So yeah, that's another feature. It'd be kind of nice. It's definitely nice having the single preset. Um,
Having 2 to 3.
but I think of it as a
Yeah.
stepping stone.
So like I don't. It doesn't have to be insane, but yeah, maybe having 2 or 3 loadouts would be really nice. So you have that, you could have your common one that you go out with a lot. You could have a sniper one ready to go for that. And if you are a streamer and you have challenges that you have a loadout ready to go for a challenge. And people who aren't
Yeah,
streamers, they could have a third loadout of whatever they like. So if they have if they
yeah,
if they find, because I do find that sometimes the challenges that they give you tend to repeat a lot. So if you get stuck with a lot of SMG challenges or whatever, like, okay, I've done all my SMG challenge. Now I want to go back to my regular loadout. And then the next day comes around and it's another SMG challenge. Well, am I going to have to, okay, I'll change my loadout to the SMG loadout. This way you could have an SMG ready if you tend to get a lot of those, or, that kind of thing. If you're getting a lot of repeats on challenges and it wants a specific type of loadout, at least this way you can have an extra slot for a loadout that is ready to go, and in case you get that challenge again, or you can change it, that particular one up for the challenge, and then when you're done the challenge you can go back to your other loadout and then just change up that second slot or third slot just for whatever challenges is for the day, so you can keep reloading that challenge real quickly and still have your original one there and still have a sniper one ready to go if you're going to do a sniper map. Yeah, so
yeah,
I think 3 would be a nice sweet spot, but I could get away with 2. But it'd be nice. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so another thing I would love to see is seasonal
Yes.
leaderboards. Because like Doc, like both of us, like we looted a
Hmm.
lot in the beginning, and like we're evolving where like we're not going as much for loot as we used to. So it'd be nice to see the progression where our uh, KPE is like way better now than it was
Right.
before.
And while we may never
So
catch up to the reptiles or the macromos or the on the generational board, even the seasonal board, because let's face it, on a seasonal board, it would take them a day or two and they'd be on the top of it anyways. But we wouldn't be so
yeah,
far below. We'd have a chance. Have it on a seasonal one. Have a fresh
yeah,
seasonal one would be kind of cool. Yeah.
yeah. Like I would love to see that. Like keep the career
Hmm.
stats. Now the issue is the stats started, or the leaderboard started, I believe, either at the end of season one or beginning of season two, something like that. So it wasn't
Mm.
right off the bat.
Right. It wasn't at the very, very beginning
But
of. I, well, yeah, I guess it would have been.
the
Yeah. So if
seasons,
it wasn't the first season and second season, yeah. So it wasn't the beginning of when they made it free to play or whatever it was, when they brought it out of their beta
beta.
or whatever they called it, foundation, or yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like I'd still like to see those stats saved, and just bring in the seasonal leaderboards, because a lot of
Hmm.
people, like I said, people change their playing styles. So it'd be kind of neat to see that change. And the boards, they could use a little tweaking, because like you have a number of friends on the leaderboards, but if you have more than 10, you can't actually scroll down, up and down
Right. Yeah.
that
If you bring up the
list.
friend list, all you can see is the top 10 friends, and maybe
Yeah,
you're not even on that list because all the 10 friends are ahead of you.
yeah,
So it would be nice if you could
yeah,
scroll the sorted ones, or whatever you want to call it, the special lists. Yeah.
yeah. So it'd be kind of cool. But definitely seasonal leaderboards. I know it's been asked for by a lot of people in the community. Definitely. I have a feeling they're going to work on it at some point. So who knows? Maybe next season. But definitely on my wish
For
list,
sure.
anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, Next off, it's just a minor little tweak, but like in duos and trios, I'd kind of like to see markers for individual like teammates, different colors.
Okay.
So you know how like you mark a spot, and your star is like they're numbered. It's 1, 2, 3 if you're in trios, or 1 and 2. But it'd be nice if they were differently colored. So it's like you knew that, okay, Doc, your star is blue,
Sure. Or green,
or
or have like, and make
John.
sure that they're such distinct colors that someone who's colorblind, could tell them apart,
Yes.
so that you didn't have red and green, and then somebody who can't, see red or green, or can't see red or can't see green, can't tell the difference between them. Yeah, so have them to. I guess you have to take that into effect. Then, and that's mostly going to be
Yeah.
affecting people who are trios, because when you're doing duos,
Yes.
yeah, you only have one marker to worry about. But it would be nice. I get what you're saying. If they were different, if your marker on the map was a different color than the yellow, everyone's the same yellow, um, with a number in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't know how many times, like, I don't play a whole lot of duos or trios, but
Hmm.
you know it's like, oh, I marked it on the map, and it's like, oh, on which one, and then you're kind of like trying to figure out which marker
Yeah,
is
on my
which,
one or whatever, and
because
which is great. And
yeah.
then sometimes, it could be hard to tell which one's the one, depending on distance from, if you're playing on a TV or monitor or whatever. Sometimes it's like, hey, which one's the one? Yeah. Having
Yeah.
that extra color on my green or on my, yeah, would be kind of helpful, for sure.
Yeah. um and then I think I think the next thing I'd like to see too, we kind of discussed it when season 6 came out, was the shootout reward
Right.
change. Um, they did that. It was great. They did tweak it a bit because it was a little OP
Because
at
it
the
was giving a
time
lot of purple
when
crates
it
at
first came
first.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they changed it. You're getting rare crates now instead of the
And it's
special issue
the,
ones, or not
yeah,
special issue,
military,
military
and
crate.
and the rare ones you're getting are usually, I think it's resources and weapon crates, I believe, right? Not standard rare. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it'd be nice if that kind of reward change came over to
Hmm.
eliminations as well. Um, because right now, like, you're just getting, basically some food and
And I wouldn't be
XP,
surprised if they're working on something
right?
like this, but it'd be really, yeah, it'd be really nice to see it, if they are, yeah, for sure. Um,
Yeah.
to
And
to to
like,
I guess, just to say, to refresh eliminations a bit, like they did with shootout.
yeah, exactly. And like for shootout, you get crates based on your
Hmm.
placement. If you finish in the top 3, unless if the lobby's boosted, then it's each additional boost provides a spot
Yep.
with a crate. So if it's boosted once, then fourth place would actually get a crate as well. So I'm kind of thinking, why not the top 3 scores from both teams combined? So like, say you're just unfortunately on a team that's not as strong, but you finish with like second most points in all the game. Why not award you for doing so well and give you second place overall?
Yeah.
So it's all based on points, right? So I think that
Hmm.
would kind of work, but who knows?
No, and I like that idea. Like, the winning team could, say, potentially get the top two, not necessarily top two, but two of the top three spots, and then have the losing team be able to, the top person in that player game, be able to get, one of the top three slots. So that's like 2 and 1 kind of thing, and I think that would be really helpful, and not, and give people who are on the losing team more incentive to not just quit, because you have seen that in the past, where a 5-man team all of a sudden
Yeah.
becomes a 3-man team because 2 people are gone for some reason. I don't know why, but
Hmm.
yeah, um, give them an incentive to still stay in and try to do their best, so that they maybe will get the crates for being on their team or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess, just to tie into eliminations as well, um, it'd be kind of cool. So you could make a 5-person team, but it'd be kind of cool if you could actually do like a custom lobby where, we have a group of 10 people that we're all friends with. and it's like, let's have a custom lobby and go into eliminations. Like that would be super fun. And then expand on the custom lobby idea. It's like, you know, you think of it as the possibility of having actual like tournaments where it's only like tournament participants are in like an encounter lobby, right? Or even a shootout lobby.
Right.
So that'd be kind of neat to also have. So like the idea of custom lobbies would be kind of nice. I know it's been asked by like quite a few partners and other people as well, but uh, I'm sure it's not an easy fix or
Right.
solution because like right now there are like some server issues. So I'm sure creating custom lobbies is not that
Sure.
simple.
And then you might also, I guess it depends. Like, yeah, if it's something like eliminations, it might not be so bad. But if it's something like doing custom lobbies and encounters, running into the issue that people are only playing in custom lobbies and not doing random lobbies, like, and so there could be some
I
stagnation
I
with the
think
game.
if you do
Yeah.
custom lobbies, yeah, I think if you do custom lobbies though for encounters, you'd basically have to restrict who has rights to that
It almost want to
almost
be like a, well,
somehow.
what they could do is work with a creator or whatever, to do these
Yeah,
special events kind of thing, because we already know that they have the ability to have like special servers that they can bring the partners into, so the partners can see new stuff, right? So then
yeah,
it shouldn't be much of a stretch then to have special servers that are standard servers, like the servers the same as what people are already playing on, that they can invite, that somebody say, hey, I want to do an event and, like a tournament or something, and we're going to invite all these players into this tournament. And Fortnite does this. They have, when they do a tournament, the people playing in those tournaments are all playing on special servers. Now, I'm not saying that they have to be that level or anything like that, but have the ability to have tournaments and invite the creators, whoever's running the tournament, and the players for the tournament into a special server. Um, because it's not something we're talking about doing like every day. It'd be like, I
yeah,
imagine, I don't know how often tournaments run, but you would think if
yeah,
people had the ability to do that, they would probably run more often, and do like a quarterly or maybe even a monthly tournament at some point. That'd probably bring a lot of attention to the community, because as soon as you start having tournaments, and even if the prizes aren't big prizes or anything to start with, the more people that get interested in that kind of thing, and even if it's to start out for fun and then eventually builds into a more of a global, more of a kind of thing like you see where you have like the big, you start having cash prizes eventually, then that just means more influx of money for the game, which could just improve everything, give them the chance to hire more people if they need it, to help them with development, and it could potentially take off, right?
yeah, yeah. Grow the game in the community and the player
Hmm.
base, and it'd be. I think it'd be a
Yeah,
good
for
idea.
sure, absolutely.
Um, Next on the wish list, everyone's always asking about it every season, pretty much, but like a
Yeah.
new map. So I'm sure it's on. I'm sure it's on their list. They're probably working on it. They kind of mentioned it in. I don't know if it was the last dev stream or the previous one, but they're always working on maps, but they're not really releasing details because they don't want to always get
When's
asked,
it coming? When's it coming? Yeah.
where's it, yeah, when's it coming
Yeah.
and stuff like that, right? So I'm sure there's a new one in development. I think there was mention at one point that the next map may be like an urban map where there's a lot of
Hmm. Hmm.
buildings, but definitely like something. It's always nice to have a new map. You saw how it was with Sawmill, which got renamed to Sogbrook.
Yeah.
um, like a lot of people went there at first, and same thing with Anakin. So everyone gets excited when there's a new map that'll come in to the
Yeah,
rotation.
and it almost, and I know it wasn't actually what happened, but like Fisk was out this season, and then we heard that there were some issues with Fisk, and they're working on it, so hopefully he'll be back next season. But instead of, if it's an issue of having too many maps, have a rotation then where, yeah, maybe a map or two is not there for a season, and it's going to be back the next season. So have like that kind of rotation, so that you always have, say, 8 maps that there's always going to be a featured map, and say 7 or 8 maps that will cycle through the two selection things. But then say have 1 or 2 maps that fall out for a season, and then come back the next season and something else falls out for a season. You know what I'm saying? Um, just to make the selection of maps a little bit more, I'm not say random, but uh, not sure what I'm trying to say now. But you sort of get what I'm saying, though. Just to make it so that there's always something to look forward to. Oh, next season Fisk is back,
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to Fisk coming back because I haven't played it all
yeah,
season. Now I know people get upset because there's only certain lighters will only show up on certain maps, and they can't get that lighter. If they're
yeah,
just starting, like all the new players, where's the Fisk lighter? I need the fish lighter. Well, we don't have that map right now. But it's going to be there back next season. We're talking a couple months, so it's not like you'll never get a chance to get that lighter or troll or whatever it might be again. It just happens to be this particular thing, and it only seems to affect lighters really right now because trolls, I think, can spawn on almost any map.
yeah,
Same with the
yeah.
albums. It just happens to be there are certain lighters that can only show up on certain maps. So um, but yeah, that kind of thing. It would be nice if
I,
they need to limit how many maps are on servers just because of server capacity. Then yeah, maybe drop out a map every or two every season, and then bring it back the next season, and do that kind of cycle.
okay. I think you'd upset
Oh,
like
you're always
some
going to upset.
people with,
No matter what
like,
you do, you're going to
oh
upset
yeah,
people.
oh yeah, yeah. Like if I know if like FJ went out of rotation, I think there'd be a ton of people like
Oh, of
upset. But
course.
you still have
Yeah.
Anakin with that you could play, the sniper game and
Yeah,
stuff
and
like that.
and
So
like we have 2 batteries, a snow battery and a non-snow battery. So you can't tell me
yeah.
that one battery's gone away for a season, people are going to freak out.
Oh
So
yeah,
maybe there won't be as many battery chances, you know, because of the cycles
yeah,
or whatever. But like people will get over it. Like they got over the crate thing. So it just it's going to upset people. No matter what you do, it's going to upset people. But change
yeah,
sometimes helps keep a game fresh, right? So, and along the whole new map thing, I think we had talked about this once before, is adding maybe some new shootout maps, because right now the only shootout map is the Segbrook or slash Sawmill map. We had mentioned,
yeah,
I think we had talked once before about maybe if they taken a section of something like Rontheim and made it into a shootout map, like where the whole downtown business house core was turned into a shootout map. That'd be kind of cool. Um, so what I was thinking is, what would also be kind of cool is if they could make a indoor map, a strictly indoor map. Maybe it's like a bigger version of like the fish factory. Make it so that it takes up the equivalent space of like what the current Segbrook map is, or maybe it doesn't have to be quite that big. But if it's an indoor map with different levels that people can run around, that could be really interesting. So you could still potentially have some sniping, but then you could also have tunnels or other corridors you could run through. Um, I think that might be neat if there was like an indoor map like that. Uh, and if,
yep,
like you said, if they're coming up with an urban map potentially as a new map, if it's an urban map, maybe there'll be like a big mall, And I know we've seen this in
yeah,
other games. Like if you look at the game that this one gets compared to most often, which is Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov has a couple of maps that are strictly indoor, and then they have one which is outdoor indoor, which is their shopping mall. So yeah, there'd be like, oh, you're just copying Tarkov. You don't have to copy Tarkov, but you can come up with your own thing, because I'm sure in Norway they must have some big building somewhere. So let's turn a big building
Yeah.
into a big shootout map. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like
Yeah.
that idea. Be kind of cool.
It'd be different, and different's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because at least
Yeah,
with them,
exactly. It would
yeah,
refresh.
and at least with eliminations, even though they're all essentially in the same, contained area as Anakin is, like eliminations just has three different sections of Anakin, which got turned into Anakin. At least the
Yeah.
Sagaruk, would have something different than just always running around that sawmill.
Yeah. I like it. And then lastly on the list is new game mode. So I was actually thinking about this, and the encounters are what Vigor is all
Yes.
about, right? It's the
Yeah.
core of the game. Now we do have different game modes. We have like, shootout. We have eliminations, but I was kind of thinking a little bit outside the box. Well, sometimes a little bit inside, but so kind of little twist on encounters where each player would come in with, say, a common crate on them. For each kill you get, that crate would increase in rarity. So if you get one kill, you get an uncommon crate. You could still exit at any time, but the longer you stay in, the better the payoff, right? So if you essentially get threat, which is 4 kills, you would get a special issue crate.
Oh, okay. And you could exit at any time, you're
Now,
saying. Okay. That's interesting.
yeah. And then if you, let's say like on an 8-player map, so you could get up to 7 kills. Like it'd be kind of tough there, but so you could technically, I would do the same thing as the boosting would work. So once you boost one, two, like 5 times, it gives you a second crate, right? So it'll give you a special issue crate and a common crate. Oh, that is one thing I would like to see changed actually, is that fifth boost where it gives you a
Hmm.
second crate. Skip the gray common crate and go straight to uncommon,
Okay. Yeah.
because you don't see a lot of people actually do that fifth boost, because you're paying
30
what is it,
crowns to
30
get
crowns
a common crate.
for
Yeah.
a common, right? So yeah, so sorry, segue, but
Important one. Yeah.
I think that would be like a really good touch, and I think it would actually promote more boosting of crates. Um, so anyways, yeah, so if you got like a fifth kill, you'd start getting a second crate, which would be a special issue and an uncommon crate. So like on a 12 player map, if you get 8 kills, you're getting two
Right.
special issues.
Now you'd have to put some things in there to make it so that people just didn't spawn in and then leave with a common crate. You'd have to make it maybe
Yes.
like a time limit before you could leave, so that you have to be around for a certain amount of time, and make it maybe so that. No, I was thinking you'd have to give them maybe a random exit so that each person has their own exit point. Um, that it,
On the opposite side or
maybe
something
on the
where they
opposite
had
side,
to
yeah, maybe
confront
have to
someone.
confront somebody, but make it so that no one knows where your exit point is. It's only marked on the map for you. Just to try to
Okay.
maybe
Oh,
people might be able to say, okay, there's a good chance someone's going to exit over here. Um, so that you may run into
yeah.
campers no matter what, but by hiding the exits, you don't know where someone's potentially going to exit. You don't know if that person's died, because, like you said, as soon as you die, then you're out of it, and somebody has a better crate on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, then that would probably help eliminate exit campers, because you never know if someone's going to have died already. So give people
Yeah.
a random exit, and that only they see, so that nobody knows where they're going to be going. But yeah, across the map would be good to help encourage people trying to run into each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, because you don't want someone just
No.
abusing it either and just farming crates. I would There has to be like some kind of like price to pay to get in,
Right.
right? Because like in a regular encounter, if you die, you lose whatever you
Mm-hmm.
have on you, like your loadout, or the loot. Um, maybe make insurance impossible. Like you can't buy insurance. Maybe the price to get in is like a bare minimum, like blue crate or something. I haven't really figured this out, but like the cost to get into an encounter would have to be high enough. Like maybe it costs you like 100 crowns to get into this round or something.
Hmm.
So they're definitely, you have to balance it where you can't just go in and just like, oh, if I die, I
Right,
die.
right. Yeah. An entry fee
So
of some kind.
anyways,
Hmm.
this is a game mode I've kind of thought about it. I'm I'd love to hear people's thoughts on it, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest, and see if maybe it's a good idea, or if they have like kind of an idea of what you can do to you know make it so people just don't go in and just try to farm
Right.
crates.
Yeah.
Because like to get like a gold crate, you need to get thread, but for some people it's very easy, some it's not, and you just got to make the risk reward kind of balance, right?
Right. And then there's that
So
sort of, this is a sort of a segue now. When you're saying, some people have a better chance of getting a gold crate just because of who they are. If there was some type of, if you had the option of going into encounters against people who are of like skill, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do they call that? That's
the skill-based
skill-based
matchmaking.
matchmaking. That would be interesting. I don't know how well it would work, but it would be interesting if it was an option. So that, you have the ability so that you're not always going against people who wipe lobbies. But again, because
Yeah,
because the people who wipe lobbies are always going against people who are, say, lower skill than them, right? So if you're all on
yeah,
equal footing, it'd be probably hard to do, but it'd be interesting.
yeah. uh I'm not a big fan of that idea. I think this is probably the one idea, Doc, where like I will be 100% against you
Really?
on this one. Uh, yeah, I don't think I could agree with that. Just because like the way Vigor is, right, is just, so first of all, like it it's supposed to mimic real life, right? So in post-apocalyptic Norway, like people are going to be varied in skill.
I
There's going to be a
suppose.
skill gap
I
that's going to be
suppose.
different. Um, and I've seen like skill-based matchmaking in a lot of games kind of just
Oh, did it?
ruined it.
And
In
I have no
Yeah,
experience with it, so.
because like Fortnite had it, and you saw, like, I'm thinking content creator wise, like a lot of them left
Mm,
because it was
right,
brought
right.
in. Um, they weren't able to create like great content. It was just like a bunch of you know Timmy's cranking 90s on them all the time and stuff like that. And it's like, how do you create content when that's like every game is like a sweaty lobby
Right,
type
right.
thing. um
Hmm.
so I don't, yeah, I don't think I could jump
No,
on
that's
the
fair. That's fair.
skill-based matchmaking. Yeah, I do like the fact that right now, your first 10 games you're matched with people who are playing their
Hmm,
first
hmm.
10. uh, Maybe bump that up a little bit more, but yeah, at a certain point I think you kind of have to join everyone.
I
And
guess. Yeah.
you know I'm of the opinion you get better by playing against better opponents. Now I've been destroyed countless times. Like my survival rate is below
Yeah,
50,
yeah.
but
Same. Oh, yeah, same.
so it's like, yeah, yeah. So I think I don't like the idea of skill
That's
based
no,
matchmaking.
no,
I'm
hey,
sorry,
no,
Doc.
that's fine. I just threw
I
it out
still
there
like
because
you. I
it
still
just sort
like
of
you.
popped to my head when you said something. But no, and that's totally fair because then we look at games like Fortnite where they brought in bots, and the bots are like what the hell are these things? They walk around like idiots,
Oh
and
yeah, no
then
thanks.
they're shooting at you from like insane distances, and is like, what? Yeah, with a
With a
shotgun,
shotgun.
is like, what is going on here? So yeah, no, I get it, and then that's fine. I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
throwing it out there. Yeah,
And if anyone's listening, and give us
yeah,
your
yeah.
2 cents. Like,
And that's yeah, and yeah, I get, and it's really hard to know, I guess, how it affect how certain things affect regular players, because when you're a streamer, you're playing a lot of games over a lot of hours, and so you see a wide gamut. But if you're somebody who's playing more casually, um, how do you find it? Like when you go into a lobby, like what are your worries? I guess how do you worry about that one guy who's going to go around and wipe the lobby? And um, is that why you see so many people who run in, grab a few things, and run out as quickly as possible? Because you see a lot of that, especially in the bigger lobbies, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And especially now with like the lock container, the time safe, and barred
yeah,
house, right? Like there is a lot of loot to be had. So there's a lot more benefit for people to loot
yeah,
and scoot now than more than
yeah.
ever,
And when
right?
people like us who tend to stay quite long, in like usually till the end of the match, I'm there until I hear the radiation bell. Like if I haven't died, I'll be there because I'm trying to get as much loot as
Yeah.
possible or whatever, right? But
Yep.
sometimes like if I have a challenge where I have to scan so many people with the signals, and I keep getting thrown across the map from signals, and it takes me forever to get there. By the time I get there, I scan as like there's one or two people left on the map. It's like, it's going to take me forever to get 50 people or whatever it might be at that time. Yeah.
Yep.
So, so I guess, is there a way to make it more incentivized to have people not just run in, grab some stuff, and run out? I get maybe that's the question, but that's sort of separate from maybe this topic. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think that might change once like the lock container, the time
yeah.
safe are like
They're
out
not.
and they're going to be
Yeah, they're
rotating
not in
them,
every map.
right? So
Yeah, when that's coming for sure. And we're back to
so
just one thing.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's it for my wish list or our wish list. I don't know if there's anything else you want to
There was
add,
only
Doc,
one
but
that I wanted to mention, and it was the one that I had mentioned. It wasn't my idea, and I had heard it. And you were saying it was probably Macromo's stream, what we heard it on. Somebody had talked about doing and it's like, apparently this is something that's a game mode in other games, and not just one game, but there's a few other games that do it. So it's not like everyone's copying one game. Maybe they are, I don't know. But where you start with a low level gun, and then as you get kills, the guns change or get better. We were just sort of banding about a little bit about that before we started recording, about how could you do that? And so if you limited, say, to three classes of weapons, so like pistols, submachine guns, and assault rifles, then maybe work your way through the rarities. So like everyone starts with a common pistol. You get a kill, you go to a common SMG, then you get a common AR, and then you get to the uncommons, or you maybe have it doesn't have to be necessarily through all the different rarities either. It could be, say, like a few classes through a few rarities, so like commons, maybe uncommons or rares, and then say purples, militaries, so that every time you get a kill, you get a better weapon. um, and then it could be a time limit thing again, and it could be like a mode of shootout, so that instead of running around to find guns in crates like you do in shootout, everyone starts with a pistol, and as you get kills, your weapon gets better, and if you die,
yeah.
you get reset to a pistol, that kind of thing. um, and then just have it like as a different type of shootout, so that you're not, you die and then you're out. It's like you die and then you restart, and then after a time limit happens, whoever's got the most kills or whatever, however you want to have your goal post for who wins,
Yeah.
gets whatever the reward is. And it could also be since it could be like a type of shootout, it could still use the same boosted crates or have the special shootout crates as rewards, right? But just
Yeah.
have a type of shootout that's a little different than what's in this particular crate. I grab a machine gewehr, or I grab a H bar out of this crate. It's like you have to earn your way to a better gun. And sure, you're going to have
Yeah.
somebody running around with a really good gun, but doesn't mean you can't be killed by somebody with a lesser gun, and then you got to start from the beginning again, because even the best guys, they die. So
Yeah. Well, like the most recent game that I played that had that kind of
yeah,
game mode was Overwatch, and it wasn't guns, but it would cycle through the
yeah. When you have a
heroes,
different hero
and
classes,
it
yeah,
was basically like a whole
right,
ladder, right? So you never reset, but like whoever reached that, I forget how many characters there were. You didn't go through all of them because they were up to like 20 some characters, but it say like 12 characters, and as long whoever finished that 12th one and got the last kill, then
right.
they won. So in this case here, it's like you have 20 guns, and like I would just say you don't reset, because that means if you had to reset, then you're almost like starting from scratch every time,
Well, and that's why I would say if it was a mode
right?
of shootout, because shootout we
Oh
already
yeah,
have the you die, you spawn with and right now in shootout it's a random weapon, and it's usually a common weapon. I think you always spawn. Is it always with a common weapon in shootout? I can't remember now. No, because you can spawn with a
uh,
decent weapon. I think.
yeah, I think you
Yeah,
can.
but yeah, whatever. Right now in shootout you spawn with a random weapon. Here you'd just be spawning with a pistol and then hoping to get back up there
Yep.
again and try to get a better weapon.
Okay.
That's why I was
Okay.
thinking making it mode of
I can see that.
shootout instead of making it its own thing. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, just
Just tweaking it.
tweaking it. Yeah, yeah. There we go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty good.
Well, I think that's about it. I
Okay.
think that's all the ideas we had
Yep.
for a potential wish list of things we'd like to see in the future. Hopefully, some of this was interesting and you liked it. Maybe mention in the comments ideas you have. And who knows if there are developers watching or reading, maybe they'll get some ideas and we might see something like this in the future. That'd be kind of cool. But again, yeah,
For sure.
I am Dr. Anton,
And I'm DJ Spencer.
and thank you for listening and watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and reach out to us. Like I said, we'd love to hear from you. But until next time, we'll see you out in the Outlands, and have a great night. Bye. Take
Bye.
care.